Welcome to my channel. Let me ask you a simple question. Why can you understand English when you read or listen, but your mind becomes empty when you try to speak? What if I told you that the real problem is not grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation? What if the real problem is that you are thinking in the wrong way? Today, I will show you how to think in English naturally. And by the end of this video, you will learn a simple system that can help you stop translating and start thinking directly in English. Stay with me, because one small change in your daily habit can completely change the way you speak English. Chapter 1. Why most English learners cannot think in English. Hello, my friends. Today, I want to start with a simple story. It is a story that may feel very familiar to many of you. There was a young learner named Ahmed. Ahmed had studied English for many years. He knew grammar rules. He knew hundreds of English words. He could read articles. He could understand many YouTube videos. He could even pass English exams with good marks. From the outside, everything looked good. But there was one problem. Whenever someone spoke to him in English, he became nervous. One day, an international visitor asked him a very simple question. "How was your day?" Ahmed knew every word in that sentence. He had seen those words many times before. But something strange happened. He did not answer immediately. First, he translated the question into his own language. Then he thought about the answer in his own language. Then he tried to translate the answer back into English. By the time he was ready, several seconds had passed. The other person was still waiting. Ahmed felt uncomfortable. His heart started beating faster, and finally, he gave a very short answer. It was good. Then the conversation ended. Have you ever experienced something like this? Maybe someone asked you a simple question in English. Maybe you knew the answer. Maybe you understood every word. But when it was time to speak, your mind became slow. You started searching for words. You started translating. You started worrying about grammar. And suddenly, speaking felt difficult. If this has happened to you, I want you to know something important. The problem is probably not your grammar. The problem is probably not your vocabulary. And the problem is probably not your pronunciation. The real problem is often something much simpler. You are translating. Many English learners spend years studying English. They learn grammar rules. They memorize vocabulary lists. They watch videos. They read books. But they never learn how to think directly in English. As a result, every conversation becomes a mental exercise. Let me show you what happens inside the brain. Imagine someone asks you a question. What do you like to do on weekends? If you are translating, your brain does 3 different jobs. First, it understands the English question. Second, it translates the question into your native language. Third, it creates an answer in your native language and then translates it back into English. That is a lot of work. No wonder speaking feels slow. No wonder you hesitate. No wonder you feel nervous. Your brain is trying to do too many things at the same time. Now imagine a different situation. Someone asks you the same question. What do you like to do on weekends? This time, you think directly in English. You immediately think, I like reading books, or I like watching movies, or I like spending time with my family. There is no translation. There is no extra step. The answer comes faster. Speaking feels easier, and communication becomes more natural. This is the hidden reason why speaking feels difficult for so many learners. Most people think they need more grammar. Others think they need more vocabulary. But often, They already know enough English to start speaking. The real challenge is learning to think differently. I want you to imagine something. Think about walking. When you were a baby, walking was difficult. You fell many times. You lost your balance. Every movement required effort. But today, you walk without thinking. You do not tell your left foot to move. You do not tell your right foot to move. Your body simply knows what to do. Speaking English works the same way. At first, everything feels difficult. You think about every word. You worry about every sentence. You stop after every mistake. But after enough practice, English begins to feel automatic. That is why thinking in English is so important. It helps your brain create direct connections. Instead of going from English to your native language and back to English again, your brain learns a new path. English goes directly to meaning. Meaning goes directly to English. This process becomes faster and faster over time. Let me give you another example. Imagine you are riding a bicycle for the first time. At first, you are scared. You think about every movement. You think about every movement. You focus on the handlebars. You focus on the pedals. You focus on your balance. Everything feels difficult, but after enough practice, something changes. You stop thinking about every movement. Your body learns what to do automatically. You simply ride. Thinking in English is very similar. In the beginning, every sentence feels difficult. You think about vocabulary. You think about grammar. You think about pronunciation. But with practice, your brain starts recognizing patterns. Simple English thoughts begin to appear naturally. And one day, you realize something amazing. You are thinking in English without trying. Many learners make one common mistake. They believe the goal is to translate faster. But that is not the goal. The goal is to stop translating. Think about it. When native speakers talk, they do not translate. When children speak their first language, they do not translate. The words simply come. The ideas simply appear. That is why their speech feels natural. And that is exactly what we want to develop in English. Now let me tell you something that may surprise you. Children never learn language through translation. A child does not see a dog and think of another language first. The child simply learns the word dog. The word becomes connected directly to the object. There is no middle step. There is no translation process. There is only meaning. This is one reason children learn languages so naturally. Their brains create direct connections. As adults, we often do the opposite. We connect every English word to a word in our own language. That habit feels helpful at first, but later, it becomes a barrier. It slows us down. It creates hesitation, and it makes speaking feel harder than it needs to be. So here is a simple question I want you to think about. How do children learn their first language without translation? Why are they able to connect words directly to ideas? And what would happen if you started learning English the same way? What would happen if you stopped translating every sentence? What would happen if you trained your brain to think directly in English? The answer may change everything about the way you learn English, and that is exactly what we are going to explore in the next chapter. There, you will discover how your brain learns to think in English and how you can start building this powerful skill, one simple thought at a time. Chapter 2. How your brain learns to think in English. In the last chapter, we discovered why so many English learners struggle to speak naturally. The problem is not always grammar. It is not always vocabulary. Very often, The real problem is translation. Today, I want to show you something even more important. I want to show you how your brain learns to think in English and how you can train it to do so naturally. Let me tell you about a learner named Sarah. Sarah had the same problem as many English learners. Whenever she wanted to speak English, she first translated everything in her mind. This made conversations slow and stressful. She often felt frustrated because she knew many English words, but she could not use them quickly. One day, Sarah decided to try something different. Instead of translating, she started thinking in very simple English. On the first day, she could only think a few words. When she looked at a bottle, she thought, water. When she picked up a book, she thought, book. When she checked her messages, she thought, phone. At first, it felt strange. It felt too simple. Sarah thought, how can this help me become fluent? But she decided to continue. After a few days, something interesting happened. The single words started becoming short sentences. Instead of thinking water, she started thinking, I am drinking water. Instead of thinking book, she thought, this is my book. Instead of thinking phone, she thought, I need to check my phone. The sentences were simple. They were not perfect, but they were in English. A few weeks later, another change appeared. Sarah was walking to work one morning when she suddenly noticed that her mind was creating entire thoughts in English. She looked at the sky and thought, it looks cloudy today. Maybe it will rain later. She did not translate those thoughts. They simply appeared. For the first time, English started feeling natural. Now, you may be wondering why this happened. The answer is very simple. Your brain becomes stronger at whatever it practices repeatedly. Think about any skill in life. If you practice playing the piano every day, you become better at playing the piano. If you practice riding a bicycle every day, you become better at riding a bicycle. The same thing happens with language. If you spend years translating English into your native language, your brain becomes very good at translating. But if you spend time thinking directly in English, your brain becomes better at thinking directly in English. Your brain is always learning from repetition. It learns from what you do most often. That is why many learners remain stuck for years. They spend all their time translating. Then they wonder why speaking feels slow. The answer is simple. They trained their brains to translate, not to think in English. The good news is that habits can change. And thinking in English is a habit. Let me show you some simple exercises that can help you start today. The first exercise is called naming objects. Look around your room right now. What do you see? Maybe you see a chair. Maybe you see a table. Maybe you see a window. Maybe you see a computer. Do not translate these words. Simply look at the object and say the English word in your mind. Chair, table, window, computer. This exercise may seem small, but it is powerful because you are creating a direct connection between the object and the English word. You are teaching your brain to skip translation. The second exercise is describing daily actions. As you go through your day, describe what you are doing using simple English. You can think, I am drinking tea. I am opening the door. I am walking to work. I am eating lunch. I am watching a video. Do not worry about difficult grammar. Do not worry about mistakes. The goal is simply to create English thoughts. Remember, simple English is still English. The third exercise is creating short English thoughts throughout the day. When you wake up in the morning, think, I feel tired. I need breakfast. Today will be busy. When you are outside, think, the weather is nice. There are many people here. That car is very fast. These thoughts may seem small, but they are training your brain in a new way. Every English thought is a small workout for your mind. And just like physical exercise, small workouts create big results over time. The fourth exercise is asking and answering simple questions in your mind. This is one of the most powerful habits you can build. Ask yourself questions like, what am I doing right now? What will I do tomorrow? What food do I like? What did I do yesterday? Then answer those questions in simple English. For example, I am learning English. I will go to work. I like rice and chicken. Notice something important. None of these answers require advanced vocabulary. None of them require perfect grammar. They only require words you already know. This is where many learners make a mistake. They think they need thousands of new words before they can think in English. That is not true. Most of the time, you already know enough words to begin. You do not need complicated sentences. You do not need academic vocabulary. You do not need to sound like a professor. You simply need to use the English you already have. Simple English is powerful English. Think about a child learning a language. Children do not start with difficult words. They start with simple words, simple sentences, and simple ideas. Slowly, those simple ideas become bigger and more complex. You can follow the same process. One English word becomes one English sentence. One English sentence becomes one English thought. One English thought becomes an English conversation. And one day, those conversations begin happening naturally inside your mind. I remember speaking with a learner who said something very interesting. He told me, I thought I needed more vocabulary before I could think in English. But after practicing these simple exercises for a month, he discovered something surprising. He already knew enough English to start. The problem was never a lack of words. The problem was a lack of practice. That realization changed everything for him. Before we finish this chapter, I want you to remember one important idea. Thinking in English is not a special talent. Some people believe that fluent speakers have a special gift. They think certain people are naturally good at languages while others are not. But that is not how it works. Thinking in English is a skill, and skills can be learned. It is a habit, and habits can be built. Every fluent English speaker started somewhere. Every fluent speaker once struggled to form simple sentences. Every fluent speaker once searched for words. The difference is that they kept practicing. Day after day, week after week, month after month. And eventually, English became natural. The same thing can happen for you. You do not need special talent. You do not need perfect grammar. You do not need a huge vocabulary. You only need consistent practice. So starting today, try one small exercise. Name objects around you. Describe your actions. Create simple English thoughts. Ask yourself simple questions and answer them in English. The more you do this, the stronger the habit becomes. And one day, just like Sarah, you may suddenly realize that your mind is creating English thoughts automatically. That moment will feel amazing. And when it happens, you will understand something very important. You were never trying to learn a special talent. You were simply building a habit. And habits, when practiced every day, can completely change your life. In the next chapter, we will explore the daily habits that make English thoughts automatic and discover how a few minutes of practice each day can slowly transform the way you think and speak. Chapter 3: The Daily Habits That Make English Thoughts Automatic. In the last chapter, we learned how the brain becomes stronger at whatever it practices repeatedly. If you practice translating every day, you become better at translating. If you practice thinking directly in English, you become better at thinking directly in English. But now a very important question appears. How do you make English thoughts happen automatically? The answer is simple. You build small, daily habits. Let me tell you about a learner named Daniel. Daniel understood this idea, but he faced the same challenge many learners face. He would practice for one day and then forget for 3 days. Sometimes he felt motivated. Sometimes he did not. Some days he thought in English for a few minutes. Other days, he did nothing at all. At first, Daniel expected quick results. After a few days, he asked himself, why is nothing changing? He still translated. He still hesitated when speaking. He still felt frustrated. There were moments when he wanted to give up. But Daniel made one important decision. Instead of focusing on big results, he focused on small daily actions. He promised himself that he would spend just a few minutes every day thinking in English. Not 1 hour, not 2 hours, just a few minutes. The first week felt difficult. Daniel often forgot. Sometimes he remembered only at night. Sometimes he could think in English for only a minute before his mind returned to his native language. Progress felt slow, very slow. The second week was not much different. Some days felt good. Other days felt frustrating. But Daniel continued. He reminded himself that habits take time to grow. Then something interesting started to happen. One morning, while walking to work, Daniel looked at the sky and thought, "It looks cloudy today." A few minutes later, he noticed people crossing the street and thought, "There are many people here today." The surprising thing was this: he did not force those thoughts. They appeared naturally. A few days later, he was shopping at a supermarket. While looking at different products, he caught himself thinking in English. He looked at a bottle and thought, "This one is cheaper." Then he looked at another product and thought, "I don't need this today." For the first time, English was becoming part of his daily life. That is the moment many learners dream about, the day when English thoughts begin appearing automatically. Not because you force them, not because you memorize them, but because your brain has practiced enough to create them naturally. Now let me share some simple habits that helped Daniel reach that point. The first habit is morning English self-talk. When you wake up in the morning, spend a few minutes talking to yourself in English. You do not need difficult sentences. You can think, "I slept well." "I feel tired today." "I need breakfast." "Today will be a busy day." These thoughts are simple, but they train your brain to start the day in English. The second habit is describing your environment. As you move through your day, look around and describe what you see. If you are outside, think, "The weather is nice. The sky is blue. There are many cars on the road." If you are at home, think, "The room is clean. The television is on. The coffee smells good." This habit teaches your brain to connect English directly to the world around you. The third habit is talking to yourself during daily routines. Many people think they need a speaking partner all the time. But you can practice anywhere. While cooking, you can think, "I am cutting vegetables." While driving, you can think, "The traffic is heavy today." While cleaning your room, you can think, "I need to organize these books." These small moments add up. 5 minutes here, 3 minutes there. Over time, they create powerful results. The fourth habit is keeping a simple English thinking journal. At the end of the day, write a few simple sentences about your day. You do not need a long essay. You can write, "Today was busy. I worked hard. I learned something new. I feel happy." The goal is not perfect writing. The goal is building the habit of expressing your thoughts in English. The fifth habit is watching short English content and immediately summarizing it in English. Watch a short video or listen to a short podcast. Then ask yourself, what was it about? Try to explain it using simple English. Even if your summary is only 2 or 3 sentences, it is still excellent practice. This habit teaches your brain to receive information in English and produce information in English without translation. Now, let us talk about some mistakes that often slow people down. The first mistake is trying to use difficult vocabulary. Many learners believe they must use advanced words to improve. As a result, they spend more time searching for vocabulary than actually thinking in English. Remember this. Simple English is powerful English. A simple sentence you can use is more valuable than a difficult sentence you never use. The second mistake is worrying about grammar while thinking. When you are practicing English thoughts, do not stop every few seconds to check grammar rules. Your goal is communication, not perfection. If a child stopped speaking every time they made a mistake, they would never learn a language. Give yourself permission to make mistakes. The third mistake is switching back to your native language too quickly. The moment English becomes uncomfortable, many learners immediately return to their native language. This is natural, but it slows progress. Try to stay with English a little longer each day. Even 1 extra minute helps your brain grow stronger. The fourth mistake is expecting instant results. This may be the biggest mistake of all. Many people practice for a few days and then become disappointed. They expect their minds to change immediately. But language learning does not work that way. Think about planting a tree. You do not plant a seed today and expect a large tree tomorrow. Growth happens slowly. At first, you cannot even see it, but every day the roots become stronger. Thinking in English works exactly the same way. There is something else I want you to remember. Every fluent English speaker once struggled exactly the way you do now. Every fluent speaker once translated. Every fluent speaker once forgot words. Every fluent speaker once felt nervous. Every fluent speaker once made mistakes. The difference is not that they were special. The difference is that they continued. When people see a fluent speaker, they only see the result. They do not see the months of confusion. They do not see the mistakes. They do not see the frustration. But those difficult moments were part of the journey, and they are part of your journey too. So if progress feels slow, do not worry. Slow progress is still progress. If you can think 1 sentence today that you could not think yesterday, that is progress. If you spend 2 minutes thinking in English today instead of 1 minute, that is progress. If you make fewer translations this week than last week, that is progress. Small improvements may not feel exciting in the moment, but they create extraordinary results over time. One day, you will notice English thoughts appearing naturally. One day, you will describe the weather without translating. One day, you will think about your plans in English without even trying. And when that day comes, you will realize something important. The change did not happen overnight. It happened because of small habits repeated again and again. That is the power of daily practice. And in the next chapter, we will bring everything together with a simple step-by-step plan that can help you continue building the habit of thinking in English every single day. Chapter 4. The 30-Day Thinking in English Challenge. Before we finish today, I want to tell you about someone named Michael. A few months ago, Michael was like many English learners. He understood English when he read books. He understood English when he watched videos. He knew grammar rules and a lot of vocabulary. But when it was time to speak, everything became difficult. Every sentence had to pass through translation first. Someone would ask him a simple question, and his mind would immediately switch to his native language. He would create the answer there and then try to bring it back into English. This process was slow, it was stressful, and it made him feel less confident every time he spoke. One day, Michael decided to stop focusing on perfect English and start focusing on English thinking. Instead of spending all his time memorizing rules, he spent a few minutes every day training his mind to think directly in English. At first, the change was small, almost invisible. But after several weeks, something remarkable happened. English thoughts started appearing naturally. Conversations became easier. Speaking became faster. Not because his grammar suddenly became perfect, but because English had become part of the way he thought. That story teaches us something important. Throughout this video, we have learned 4 powerful lessons. First, translation creates delays. Every time you translate, you add an extra step between your thoughts and your words. Second, simple English is enough. You do not need difficult vocabulary to start thinking in English. Third, thinking in English is a habit, not a talent. And fourth, daily practice creates automatic thinking. The more often you think in English, the more natural it becomes. Now, I want to give you something practical. I want to give you a complete 30-day challenge that can help you build this habit step by step. During the first 10 days, your goal is very simple. Do not try to have long conversations in your mind. Do not try to sound advanced. Focus only on creating basic English thoughts. Look around your room and name objects. Think chair, table, window, or phone. Describe simple actions. Think, I am drinking water, I am opening the door, or I am watching a video. Throughout the day, create short thoughts in English whenever possible. During these first 10 days, you may feel frustrated. Your mind will often return to your native language. Sometimes you will forget to practice. Sometimes you will not know the right word. That is completely normal. Your brain is learning a new habit. Just like learning to ride a bicycle, the beginning always feels awkward. What matters is not perfection. What matters is repetition. As you continue practicing, something starts happening inside the brain. New connections begin forming. English words slowly connect directly to ideas instead of passing through translation. You may not notice this change immediately, but it is happening every time you practice. Days 11 through 20 are where things become more interesting. During this stage, you begin expanding your thoughts into short conversations. Instead of thinking only one sentence, you start creating simple exchanges in your mind. Ask yourself easy questions. What am I doing today? What did I eat for breakfast? What will I do tomorrow? Then answer those questions in English. You can even imagine talking to a friend. Ask a question and then answer it. For example, you might think, "How was your day?" Then answer, "My day was good." I worked in the morning and watched a movie in the evening. These conversations do not need to be long. They do not need to be perfect. The goal is simply to keep your mind active in English. During this stage, many learners experience an exciting moment. They suddenly realize that some English thoughts are appearing without effort. A sentence appears before translation has a chance to begin. It may only happen once or twice at first, but it is a sign that progress is happening. There will still be difficult days. Some days your mind will feel slow. Some days you will feel like nothing is changing. But remember what we discussed in the previous chapter. Slow progress is still progress. Every small step matters. Days 21 through 30 are where everything begins coming together. During this stage, you start thinking about larger ideas completely in English. You think about your daily experiences. You think about your future plans. You think about your opinions and feelings. When you wake up, think about your plans for the day. When you finish work or school, think about what happened. Before you sleep, think about what you learned and what you want to do tomorrow. You might think, today was busy but I learned something new. Or, next year I want to improve my English and travel more. Or, I enjoyed talking with my friend today. At first, these thoughts may still be simple. That is perfectly fine. The goal is not complexity. The goal is consistency. During these final 10 days, many learners experience something they never thought was possible. English begins to feel familiar. It begins to feel comfortable. Instead of forcing thoughts to appear, the thoughts start coming on their own. This is often an emotional moment. Many learners remember the exact moment it happened. They are walking down the street, sitting on a bus, or drinking coffee when they suddenly realize they have been thinking in English for several minutes without translating. That moment feels special because it proves that the process is working. Now let me tell you what to expect during this challenge. There will be moments of confusion. There will be times when you cannot remember a word. There will be days when you feel tired and unmotivated. But there will also be moments of success. There will be moments when a sentence comes naturally. There will be moments when you notice yourself translating less. And there will be moments when English begins to feel like a natural part of your daily life. Many people quit because they expect immediate results. They practice for a few days and then decide it is not working. But language learning does not happen overnight. It grows slowly, just like a plant. Every day of practice adds something small, and eventually those small improvements become something much bigger. As we reach the end of this video, I want you to remember one final idea. Fluency does not begin when you speak English perfectly. Fluency begins when your mind starts living in English. Many learners spend years chasing perfect grammar. Others spend years memorizing vocabulary lists. But true fluency starts much earlier. It starts the moment you begin thinking directly in English. One thought becomes two thoughts. Two thoughts become sentences. Sentences become conversations. Conversations become confidence. So do not worry about speaking perfectly today. Focus on creating one simple English thought, then another, then another. Because fluency is not built one speech at a time. It is built one thought at a time. And if you continue practicing day after day, thought after thought, you may be surprised by how much your English can change in just 30 days. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope this challenge inspires you to begin today. Remember, your journey does not start when you know everything. It starts when you think your very first thought in English. And that thought can begin right now.